Hello, my fellow fasting foodie friends. It's Jackie, and today I'm really excited to share with you guys a metaphor that I think really sums up the intermittent fasting experience. It's climbing the sand hill. Let's back up though. I'm going to share with you guys this book. It's called The Fast 5 Diet. I actually read this over a year ago. I had to get it from our local university's library through interlibrary loan. And long story short, once I returned it, I couldn't remember what it was called. I finally found it again. I ordered my own copy because I like to take notes and highlight and do all the stuff. But I remember really liking this. I just couldn't remember what it was called. And I finally had my hands on it again. So if you're looking for another book recommendation, this is it. But when I was rereading it, something stuck out to me that didn't the first time I read it. It's written by Dr. Bert Herring, and he is a medical professional that was in, I think, the Marine Corps, or he was in the Navy supporting the Marine Corps, something like that. And once he retired, he actually worked at a cancer institute in the metabolism area. So the guy definitely has qualifications. Check. He actually started the Fast 5 diet on himself, lost 20 pounds, gained the weight back, and then went back and did the Fast 5 diet again to lose his weight and maintain it. And he ended up sharing it through this book. It's super simple, and his whole premise of having a really small book is that fasting is super simple, and I 100% agree. But one thing that stuck out to me when I reread this book was, let me find it. So he says adjusting intermittent fasting, I'm kind of paraphrasing that part, is such a big step that you should think of it as you would think of climbing a sandy hill. So if you're from Michigan, we have Great Lakes, we have crazy sand dunes, and if you've ever climbed a sand hill, you know that as you take steps, you're continually stepping up, but you slip a little bit, you step up, you slip a little bit, and I think that is like the best metaphor for intermittent fasting. You're going to get to your destination, but you're not going to do it perfectly. It's not stairs that you're going to step on a solid surface and make the next step and make the next step and never falter. It's not going to work that way. Dr. Herring also says it takes a lot of little steps to get to the top, and you shouldn't make the climb without expecting to slip. And I think that is perfect. If you are new to intermittent fasting and you think that, I see Jackie does an average of 21 and a half hour fasting every day, that's what I have to do. If I want to be successful, I have to do what she does. That's not the case. And guess what? I didn't start day one and do a 21 and a half hour fast and never go smaller. In my journey, I have had some 14-hour fasts because I wanted to break for a special event. I have days where right when my 18-hour minimum is hit, I open my window because I am hungry and I'm ready to go. Or there are times where I fast 40 hours. Do I struggle to get to the 40 hours? It's certainly not easy the entire time. But what I'm saying is, it's something that you adapt to. It's something that you learn. One thing you have to realize is you are going to slip up. It is not something that you are going to commit to, never falter. And the really cool thing is your slip-ups are okay because intermittent fasting is really flexible. Dr. Herring also says you are invited to climb the hill. No one can climb it for you. Like, how perfect. You're the one that's in control. Even if someone wants you to close your window to eat, it's up to you. You're not doing this for anyone else other than yourself. So you don't have to. I know social pressures to eat can really weigh on a person sometimes, but fasting is your choice. No one else can climb that hill for you. He also points out that if you slip, the hill doesn't get higher. If you have a shorter fast one day than you did the day previous, or shorter than your goal, it doesn't mean that you have a higher hill to climb. It's still the next day, you're just going towards the same goal. You're just still trying to fast. It's not something where you make one little mistake and then you suddenly have this giant mountain that you weren't planning on tackling. So in full, this is what he says. You're invited to climb the hill. No one can climb it for you. If you slip, the hill doesn't get higher. It remains awaiting your next effort. No matter how many times you slip, as long as you make a tiny bit of progress each time, you will get to the top. How awesome. So if you think of the sandy hill as mastering intermittent fasting and adjusting to the intermittent fasting lifestyle, just expect that it's not going to be easy to master it. It's not going to be easy to get to a point where every single day you fast, 18 to 24 hours. That's what I do personally. And just because that's what I personally do doesn't mean that you have to do that. But whatever you set as your goal, whatever you set as your top of the sandy hill, you don't have to achieve it day one, right? You don't have to get to the top of the hill. You need to just understand and go into it expecting that your goal is this is your sandy hill, and as you're climbing, there are going to be days where you take a step and you step on really soft sand and you slip. But as long as every day you keep climbing and every day you keep allowing yourself to adjust, you're going to get there. You're going to adapt. You're going to adjust to the intermittent fasting lifestyle. So what are ways that you can continue to take steps forward? One thing you can do is, even if your goal is to fast 18 hours every day at a minimum, maybe start at 14 hours. Once you get used to 14 hours, do 14 hours and 30 minutes. Once you get used to that, you can incrementally add to your fast, continue to climb that hill, and eventually get to where you're adjusted and you're able to fast 18 hours every single day, or whatever your goal is. Again, just because my goal is 18 hours every day at a minimum doesn't mean that it has to be your goal. We all have different physiques. We all have different things that work for us. I like to eat in a shorter amount of time because I eat a lot of food. Also, even though I'm a huge advocate for a clean fast where you don't have any flavors, anything in your drinks, one thing that Dr. Herring talks about that I think has merit is if you need to drink a Diet Coke to get to your fast. Dr. Fung actually talks about this as well. If you need to have a little cream in your coffee to adjust to fasting, it is going to, in my opinion and in my experience, if you have these things in your fast, it makes it harder. But if you're going from eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're trying to only eat dinner, if you need to have a cream coffee to help push you further, I think that's okay to adjust. I definitely don't think it's something that you want to do long term, and I think you're going to have better results and an easier time fasting if you stick with plain water, plain coffee, plain natural teas. But again, if you need to have a Diet Coke to push you further into your fast, I think it's better than having a shorter fast. So those are steps that maybe you're eliminating breakfast and lunch, but to get you to dinner, you are going to have Diet Coke for 3 weeks, and then you eventually start cutting out the Diet Coke to get the clean fast. Those are ways that you can work on taking steps gradually, small incremental steps to get to the top of the hill. Eventually, you will phase out maybe the cream in your coffee or lemon in your water or a Diet Cola, whatever. Once you phase that stuff out, that's one step going towards your ultimate goal, whatever that is that you've set. One thing that people ask me all the time is, I open my window and I literally want to inhale everything. How do you handle binging? And the first thing I want to say is that intermittent fasting is not suggested if you have a true diagnosed eating disorder, because it can amplify disordered eating. I've never had an eating disorder, and if you do have an eating disorder, I'm not speaking to you, because again, everything that I've read, intermittent fasting is actually not suggested for those of you with eating disorders. So I obviously don't have any expertise, medical knowledge. I can't talk to that. Dr. Herring says this. I've read it in Jin's books. So if you make your goal and say you reach 18 hours, you hit the fasting goal that you set for yourself, and then you suddenly down a box of Oreos, you're going to feel like crap. And I'm going to tell you that it doesn't take you too many times of feeling like absolute garbage in your eating window to start to train yourself that you don't want to inhale that much food. I will be the first to admit, one of my slips as I'm climbing the sandy hill of intermittent fasting is I do still probably have very large portions compared to what my body needs in my eating window. I do still eat processed foods. I do still like to have foods that aren't the standard of a perfect diet. However, I know that as I'm eating these things, as I eat too much, those are problems that I dealt with prior to intermittent fasting. So were my portions still really large, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all the snacks in between? Yes. Did I still like foods that weren't steamed chicken and broccoli, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all the snacks in between? Yes. So I feel like intermittent fasting and having it in a shorter window allows me to make progress. I'm still doing things that are really good for my body by fasting, as my diet is not the best. So I share with you guys my food, what I eat in my eating windows, because I want you to see that even as someone that doesn't have a perfect diet, I'm still able to enjoy foods. I'm still able to control my weight. I'm still able to get benefits from fasting. I've lost a fatty liver. My skin has gotten better. So many different benefits. I sleep better, even though I'm not perfect. So I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect, and I don't share with you what I eat so that you too can eat like me. I share with you so that you know that you don't have to be perfect and that you can still have slip-ups as you climb the sandy hill and still have success. Because I know that what I eat isn't what someone would think, like, I'm going to eat like her and lose weight. However, I know that when I pair someone who struggles with portions, struggles with wanting all the foods, I love to eat food. I get excited about events and eating food. I get excited about baking and eating the food. I get excited about meal planning and eating the food. But when I did that and I wasn't intermittent fasting, I constantly gained and lost the same 20 to 30 pounds. I always was either gaining weight or dieting, hating what I was eating, and losing weight. It was a roller coaster. It was awful, and I have lifted that mental burden. Does that mean that I still don't want to get better at my portions? No. Does that mean that I still wouldn't like to eat more quality food? No. I would like to eat better food, but I'm allowing myself and my taste to change gradually. I'm allowing myself to make better choices here and there. And I know that as I continue fasting and slipping up the hill, I'm continuing to better myself. And that's okay. I'm okay with the slow climb. I've mastered the fast. I can work on other things, and I'm all right with that. With binging, you'll learn quickly that it doesn't feel good to do that. And there are going to be times that you eat more in your eating window. You're going to know the difference between closing your window and feeling really good and closing your window and feeling pretty crappy, and then you'll fast again and you're going to train yourself. I fully believe that. Dr. Herring believes that. Jen Stevens in her books has talked about that. It is something that even if you eat too much in your eating window, it's better than not fasting, and you will probably adapt to not doing that daily. So whether you struggle with getting your fasting minimums, if you struggle like me with your food choices or your quantity, or opening your window and inhaling the entire fridge, just know that as you continue to make steps and you continue to climb the sandy hill, that you can do it. We can all get to the top. We can all adjust to fasting. And I just thought that was a wonderful metaphor that I wanted to share with you guys. Again, it's from Dr. Herring's book, The Fast 5 Diet. I highly recommend it. It's such an easy read, 58 pages. Like, get this book. If you have been following me at all, you know that I really have enjoyed having lots of different fasting resources. It really kind of solidifies my resolve that fasting is a wonderful lifestyle choice. You can check out this video right here where I share with you other book recommendations and things that have really propelled me on my intermittent fasting journey. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, Donna, ciao.